Hi, I'm Rob Saunders, and I'm here today with KP Kennedy. KP is a system engineer with Checkpoint Software, and KP has been in the computer business since 1995, and primarily has been a security engineer all that time. And KP has also worked with Southern Company, Wachovia Bank, and Regions Bank over the years. KP, I wanted to ask you a few questions today about security and in particular about phone security. You know, we're using our mobile phones more and more now for banking, checking our email, buying online. Are there some things that we need to really focus on or be aware of in that process?
Well, yes. First of all, thanks, Rob. I appreciate your time. This is kind of a new arena for a lot of folks because typically in the past, people have thought security was for large organizations or for protecting the server farm or protecting the environment from the outside. Well, now we've seen the increase in mobility and people be able to work from remote locations via laptop or cell phone or iPad or what now. So this is the one area where we've seen a lot of deficiencies with respect to security. Mm-hmm. And we've got some products that will help you fill that gap in. So
do you need to have some security software for your phone? Is that an ideal solution, or do you just need to have better passwords and that type of thing?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, if you look at any kind of good security, you're going to have multiple layers of security. Strong passwords are a must, just as a general principle. But what our researchers have told us is that increasingly the number of breaches are occurring via the mobile application infiltration mechanism. So more and more we're seeing that is the avenue of ingress that the bad guys are using.
So with our phones, you know, we're storing a lot more information in the cloud so that we can access it from our phones, such as documents and email and that type of thing. Do we need to secure that information as well in the cloud?
Absolutely. One of the big mistakes that most people make is thinking that if I'm in the cloud, I'm safe. The problem is the cloud providers are protecting their hardware and their infrastructure. They're not necessarily protecting your data. So there's people and organizations will need to, have something in place from a security perspective in order to protect their data to keep it from leaking out.
So why is that so important? I mean, what can they get or what can they do with that data?
One of the biggest trends we're seeing over the last couple of years, and the numbers aren't exact, but if I remember correctly, 58% of some of the things we've seen from a malware attack perspective are account reuse. That's where the bad guys will pick up somebody's account information, either it's their Gmail or their Office 365, and use those same credentials to gain access to corporate information. And once they get that, they use that to send fraudulent emails, and we've seen a lot of wire transfer and payments, and that's happening a lot more often.
For 2019, what do you see as the greatest security threat out there?
Well, going back to the account reuse thing, some of the really newer, nasty things we're seeing are malware pieces of software that actually reside only in computer memory. They can survive a reboot, and they don't leave any kind of trace on the hard drive or in the file system, so they can just live in memory. So they're very, very difficult to detect. Luckily, Checkpoint has some software and some technologies that are able to identify that and remediate it.
So like in a cell phone too, can it reside in the memory there as well?
We haven't seen anything residing in memory in cell phones yet. That's still more of a file system thing, but it's only a matter of time before that happens.
And we say file system like your PC or
like
laptop.
On your hard drive, yes.
So what do you see as the future of cloud computing? Are we going to just be expanding with that, or what do you see happening there?
Well, it's going to depend on the industry, but some of the information I've read, the use of cloud is only going to grow. You're going to have more organizations putting more information and more of their compute function, and really their applications too now, into the cloud. So it's really important, and I've always talked to people about security, and when I talk to them I say, look, you really need to bake the security into the project plan as opposed to trying to bolt it on later. So when people understand that security is a requirement in the cloud, they can build out a better infrastructure to protect those cloud assets.
So I guess to summarize, you need to make sure that you have good passwords for your phones.
Yes.
You've got to make sure that you have good security on your phones, whether it's protecting the use of it or having a password to get into it. Ideally, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of sensitive transactions, you want to have security or software on your phone that will protect it. And then the same thing with the cloud. You want to have security in your cloud environment, especially if you have sensitive data there.
That's correct, yes.
Well, KP, I appreciate your time and I appreciate the information that you've given to us today.
Always a pleasure, Rob. Thanks.
All right. If you have any more questions, feel free to give me a call, rob@saundersbusiness.com, and I'll be glad to work with you and help you in any way possible.